La pregunta es, ¿por qué elegiste contar solo esta parte de la vida de
Yeah.
Astrid?
Pernille, the director, is my wife. So at some point, in our newspaper, there was an article about Astrid and the child she left behind in Copenhagen. And Pernille was like, we were actually in between features, and we were looking for a new project, and she was like, read this article, I think this is interesting. And I have always worked in contemporary stories. I'm not interested in historical writing, and especially not biopics. So I was like, I don't think so. But I was a bit curious. I think mostly because besides writing feature films, I also write children's books. And Astrid is like the godmother of children's books. So I was a bit curious, you know. So we started talking about this incident, and these 4 years was like the opening discussion. And then we started looking at the whole life of her. Childhood, old age. The thing was that childhood was happy. Nature, siblings, the free life in the woods. Old age was writing, and it went well. She was world famous. So we're all the time kind of, the story is this. And then we came across a quote from Astrid herself when she talked about these 4 years. And she said, I probably would have been a writer anyway, but maybe not a world famous one. So in a sense, we were like, okay, this is the foundation of her life as a writer. This is the core, these 4 years. And then we presented the project in Sweden, and everybody said, but where's Pippi? So we came up with the old woman, the old writer, with all the children writing her from all over the world, and the voices of the children, to kind of make a string from the young woman to what happened later on.
Me has hablado de que ella ha dicho que seguramente no sería tan famosa sin este episodio, pero ¿existiría Pippi Calzaslargas sin este episodio?
Well, we will never know, but it seems that what happened in her life about rebellion, this very old-fashioned society, the religion, that she herself was like a Pippi character, and know, you know, that it wasn't for free. It has costs. You're not the first one to rebel without you have to fight for it, and you don't get it, you know, as a gift. You have to earn it and conquer it. You know, it's.
Aun a pesar de ese ambiente de opresión, viendo la película, uno puede pensar que los padres, bueno, en cierto modo la dejan de lado, pero también teniendo ese apoyo económico de la Iglesia, ¿no? que tenían, dependiendo de ella, eran abiertos de mente. Yo no sé si Astrid también recibió un apoyo grande también de la mujer que le cuida al hijo, siendo la situación que estaba atravesando. Es decir, ella tuvo el apoyo de los que le rodeaban.
We know that the parents they sent food because they did everything, sausages and bread and cheese, and you know, it was that kind of cover farm work. So she received these boxes with food now and then. She has claimed she starved in Stockholm. Maybe she was too proud to ask for more help. And one of those historians we talked about in research said maybe they didn't have cash. You know, it wasn't like you had a lot of you were swapping stuff and you were. But we know she was all the time saving up money to be able to go to Copenhagen and back. But it was limited. I think we counted 13 visits to Denmark, including giving birth in 3 years.
Echando la vista atrás, ¿se puede ver ahora a Astrid como un icono feminista antes de que hicieran toda esta corriente? Claro.
I think when we started working, the focus was on her and her life as, the famous writer as a young woman. But then it suddenly occurred to us, oh my God, this is also female history. This is about, the shame women had to carry and the way they were dominated by men and men, the rules men put up. So this was kind of, sometimes you have this starting point and then suddenly other stuff happens in the material and it seemed that you have this expression, the roaring 20s. Yeah, because and women started to go out dancing and having a job maybe and cutting the hair, and so there was some movement, especially in the big cities, not in Vimmerby.
Bueno, la película no habla de eso, pero como escritor de literatura infantil, ¿qué es lo que tenía Pippi Landström que podía llegar a los niños de todo el mundo?
Yeah, if I only knew, I would. No, of course, it's some of it is because it was the first. There were so many children's books before her that was about behaving well. They just wanted kids to behave, do what the adults told them to do. So Pippi was like a mind-blowing moment where a child could insist on being a child of its own will, and so in my childhood, Pernilla's childhood, we know the voice of Pippi and Astrid and her books. So we want our daughter to have the same experience. So we have been reading Pippi to her. It's inherent, but at some point our daughter said, "She's kind of misbehaved, isn't she?" She thought. So maybe there's a new generation now that thinks she should.
Bueno, Pippi igual era transgresora, que yo no sé cuánto le ha trasladado Astrid a ese personaje de transgresión.
I think it was when you see the society she grows up in and how strict it was and how many rules about behavior and especially what a girl, a young woman could do. It's quite easy to see Pippi, as the one insisting that this was me. I'm like this, I don't care how you behave, the rest of you. So and also especially coming back as a single mom with a child in the hand. And when she was addressed as a married woman, she would correct people and say, "I'm not married. I'm." And I think this whole thing about setting an example for others, this is how things are moving on. That you see with your own eyes, it's possible to live like this, to have a child and be a single woman. All of us need, a role model and someone to take a first step.
Bueno, ya la última que voy a aprovechar para hacer dos, pero bueno.
The last question, but I'm going to put two in one.
Okay.
Por un lado, Astrid acabó en algún momento cansada de su propio personaje, de ese éxito, si le llegó a devorar en algún momento. Y por otro lado, ¿cuál es el legado que nos deja hoy Pippi Calzaslargas y que no sé si está quizá un poco olvidado?
The first question was about.
Did Astrid ever tire of being Astrid?
Yeah, I think fame was not her thing. She of course was happy that children could benefit from her books and have. But it seemed to her that she also was worn out by the attention and the questions and. Because this was not her thing, to shine in public light. So in that sense, I think it's.
En este sentido, creo que sí.
She sometimes, I think, longed for, anonymity. I can't say. Like to be anonymous, to be, And the other question?
Is Pippi still as fresh?
Yeah, I think we read, of course, not all the books, but almost all the books Astrid Lindgren wrote in her life. Some of them, you kind of say, okay, this book is gone now because time has kind of, it ran away from it. But you have these 5, 6 books, Pippi and the brothers, the Lionheart brothers, Robert's daughter. You have those, and they're still like, they work. They still have something to say, and the humor and the sorrow, the darkness in some of them really works. They're made of, classical stuff.